That's our role, but of course we have a team of staff that works on our, what we call earned media opportunities, our communications team. You know, and I always say we could buy all the media in the world, but when a travel journalist or a respected travel writer writes a story about the area, it's a whole lot more valuable because people, of course, respect those known sources that they have. So today you've got not only our internal team, but you also have an extension of our internal team, which is our contractor in New York City, NJF. You've got staff from both teams here to bring you up to speed on the latest, greatest in travel marketing, travel PR marketing, and because it's all marketing, baby. At the end of the day, we're talking about getting people here into your businesses and into our local economy, spending money. That's the goal. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over, but we're real excited that you're here. Thank you for your time, and I hope you find this really valuable. So, Francesca Donnellan, our communications director.
Hi, everybody. Am I on? Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Part of this day is we're gonna teach you a little something about PR, but then we're hoping that you're gonna teach us something and yourselves a little bit about PR, because we're gonna talk and then we're gonna break into groups and we're gonna do some strategies and send you away with a higher understanding of PR and how you can implement it into your own lives. So I'd like to introduce my team, first of all, so you know who you're talking to when you call the VCB. Jackie Parker, would you like to stand up? Communications Manager. Miriam Dotson and Ray Saraceno. This is your communications team. And then where's Annie? Annie's half of our communications team too. So that's our team, and they will tell you a little bit more about what they do later on in the presentation. But I'm going to hand you off to Lauren Kaufman, who is the Senior VP at NJF, and she can introduce her team.
Yeah. Hi, that's me. And I'd like to introduce my team, Shayna and Maeve, and they will be talking today as well. So just to go back a page and give you a little lay of the land of what we hope to accomplish today. So introductions, check. What is PR? You know, some of you might work in the industry, some of you might be more peripheral around it, so we'll give you a little overview. We'll go over some trends in travel, some current research that might help you with your day-to-day and show you what we're focusing on for the coming year. Talk about what we do, as well as crisis communications, which I know we all deal with in various levels at different points of our years. We want to make this as engaging as possible, so we'll do a Q&A session, but if you have anything to say, question, not understanding what we're talking about, please, during this, we'll make it, feel free to chip in. And then we're going to do some breakout sessions at the end, so hopefully we'll get everybody talking. So, let's go back. So what is public relations? I love this quote. Bill Gates once said, if I was down to my last dollar, I would spend it on public relations. And this is so true. The public relations has a very different appeal than advertising does, just as Tam started saying. And as we know, there's a variety of different ways that we can get coverage, right? We have earned, which is what we all do over here, which is the media relations. We work with bloggers, we work with influencers. There's paid that falls under advertising, your banner ads, all of your Google work. You have shared, which social media, the word of mouth, all the referrals that you get from guests. And then you have owned. It's what content is yours. It's your website, it's the blog content that you're putting up, it's the articles that you are posting yourself. So we're going to concentrate on earned today. How do we get there? So in order to do that, we're going to look at what is media worthy. So we're going to talk about different trends, as I mentioned, but also for you to keep in mind, media worthiness comes in the form of any openings or renovations that you're doing, any tactical deals that you might be offering, any unique programming that you're doing. Are you doing something new and different that might be appealing to guests and consumers? Are there any human interest stories? Do you have somebody on your staff? Is there a great guest story to be told? Just different ways to think about what's interesting, what would be relevant, what would you want to read about in a magazine or a newspaper or online. And that is the information we're going to try to ferret out. So trends in travel today. So we at MMGY believe that research reveals insights, and then insights reveal strategies. So everything that we do is based on something actually happening. We're not guessing what's going on in the world today. We're actually looking at real research and trends from American travelers today. So every year we do a Portrait of American Travelers study. It's the largest travel survey that's done in the US. And here we have looked at vacationers who have at least once traveled 75 miles or more from home, with at least an overnight in the past year, with the average household income upwards of 50 plus. And we've talked to almost 3,000 people to get these statistics. So what we're seeing today is that travel priorities are shifting. How? Well, we take a look at the top 10 destinations where people want to go. This is travel intentions. And we noticed that Seattle broke into the top 10 for the first time. And Seattle's like a secondary city, right? It's not one of those first that comes to mind, but people are now interested in going there. What I also wanted to point out about these numbers is number 3. Florida Keys is number 3 on where people want to go. So when we're looking at that, people know the state of Florida, they're interested in the state of Florida, they have intentions to come to this state. How do we grab more of those visitors here in the Fort Myers area? And when we look at the travel forecast generationally, the millennials are spending about the same amount year over year. Gen Xers, this is a pretty good increase, but the boomers are the ones that are, the boomers are really spending a lot more coming up. Even though the millennial generation is coming up more population-wise, we have the boomers are spending the dollars. So what is motivating travelers these days? A lot is exploration. They want to see, they want to do, they want to participate in a place that makes them feel a certain way, what they want to elicit out of their vacations. And so they're defining exploration as what's the motivator for travel. What gives you a new experience, a new perspective, and how does that speak to your way of life? A lot of people today, obviously, it's like the Instagram world. Like everyone wants to post where they are. And destinations say a lot about your personality, right? If you're an adventurous person and you're in Denver and you're posting all these great outdoor pictures, it says something about who you are. So if you're here and you're posting pictures, what does that say about you? So the sense of exploration and what you're finding is very big in the search today. We're also seeing that road trips are on the rise. So 54% of American travelers are taking road trips. I mean, that's half of all Americans who are hitting the road are hopping in a car and taking their families on road trips. So over the past, you can see the trend is really jumping over the last few years. And we're actually seeing an intention to take road trips jumping a lot. And there's a group of travelers we're calling at MMGY Wings and Wheels. So people are flying to a destination, renting a car, and then doing a road trip. And that's a significant part of this intention to travel, which gives us a really good market to target for our upcoming year of activities. There's a little arrow showing that. So the travel motivators, so the road trippers versus non-road trippers, right? They're looking for relaxation, yes, but primarily they're looking for exploration. They want to enhance their personal relationships. They want to self-discover. They want to meet new people. Those were all big increases this year. You can just see the numbers. The non-road trippers are listed there too. But those 4 in red are really the big year-over-year changes that we noticed. Environmental responsibility. We all talk every day about sustainability how are we responsible, how are we leaving the earth better than we got it. And that pertains to travel as well. So we noted this year that 13% of American travelers say that they selected a travel service provider in the past 12 months based on their perception of their sustainable practices. So how are you as a company, as a destination, how are we sustainable, how are we responsible, how are we marketing that back as a positive for guests to come come here? And 80% of people are actually willing to pay more for that service. If you're comparing two different services and one of them appears to be much more environmentally sustainable, people are paying 10% more for that service because they believe in that practice, which we thought was really interesting to note. And so, want to talk about?
Yep. Got it.
Yep.
All right, so besides meeting with journalists and asking you all if we can stay at your accommodations or take them to where you're eating and playing, we do so much more than that. So I'm going to bring up Ray Saraceno, who does the Industry Partner Newsletter. And these are things we want to show you, because if you can give us information about these products, then we can help you.
Right,
Take it away.
Can you hear me in the back, or we need to amplify? Yeah, the Industry Partner Newsletter goes out on the hopefully first business day of every month, and it's geared towards our industry partners. So this is kind of this family right here is who we're talking to. Right now, we're pushing about 1,500 people who are subscribing to the newsletter. We do have a message from Tam Pygott, who's our executive director, who is
She's in the back there.
right there, leaving. And we focus on basically telling you not only what we've been up to, but we want to hear from you about what you're up to. My email address is on there, but I also have my business card up here, and you just see me, I've got plenty of them. I'd love to hear from you about what we can include, anything about your business that you feel can be pushed outward that we can tell everyone else about. We're naturally looking for anything that's going to enhance what you've done. If you've added to your business, or you're doing something new or offering a new service or product, we'd like to hear about it, and if possible, we'd like to add that to the newsletter. So anything you'd like to add, please get in touch with me. I'll do my best.
Yeah, and the more we know, the more we can get information for you, the better we can do our jobs. For example, that newsletter also goes to our New York team, and they do pitching from New York about the things they're reading in that newsletter. So if you can get included in that, that's just extra bonus for you. And then Miriam Dotson, come on up.
All right.
This is much more interesting.
No, no, it's all interesting. Hi, everyone. My name's Miriam. I do this weekly what to do list. Is anybody familiar with this, or do you get them? Okay, great. So if you're not familiar with it and you have a chance, you can actually be on this list as well. And it actually starts at the airport for our visitors. And it's basically a weekly list that is updated often of things to do while you're here. How many people arrive here and they go, so what's there to do around here? You know, and then you go start thinking about all those things. Well, this is a great handy way. We put it together where you can download a PDF, you can have it digitally, and you can send it out to whether they're your hotel guest, your attraction guest. If you are an attraction, you can be featured on there for consideration of something maybe that's special going on, or maybe you have a special for a holiday, or something that you'd really like to get some more of our visitors to come do. We also have things that are off the beach, because maybe people are coming in the summertime and it's raining, and you get that question of like, well, what's there to do when you can't go to the beach? There's tons to do, as you all know. So you can get a list of all of that. Farmers markets, we're big in season right now, so we keep up current with everything that's open or closed. Breweries, drinking locally is becoming a really big event for people to go do. They want to explore the area. We have a number of breweries and distilleries, so we've got that information on there. And then the latest that we have are apps. How many of you, do you have an app to your business or anything? If it can be useful to a visitor here, feel free to send it my way, and we can try to get it on that list as well, because we want to keep up with the times. People can come here, go on their phone, and just do a history walking tour all by themselves. And that's the world we live in. So why not give them another option and a way to get to explore our area and then get into your businesses or maybe in your hotels. So, it's a pretty extensive list, but my email is on there as well. That probably works best. And I've got my business card out there too, to email me for consideration. So like I said, it starts at the airport. You can hand it out through the emails or even through just a paper that is still relevant today. So it's a pretty cool feature. So if you need any more info, feel free to email me.
Thank you, Miriam. And also know that we're going to send you an email after this meeting, probably maybe tomorrow, in which we send you all the links. And so don't worry if you miss anything, because we're going to get it to you. So there's so many other things we do. We do the media missions, where we bring journalists from all over the country and all over the world here, and we host them and hope they have an amazing time, and then they write about it. We assist Visit Florida with their fans. We do trade shows. We work with international contractors, teams in the UK, Germany, Canada, Scandinavia. We work with local journalists and publications. In fact, we have 2 columns, one in the News Press, written by TAM, and one in Florida Weekly, written by the VCB, and that goes in every other week. And that's another vehicle that we use to get out all of the information that we need to get from you. We have an amazing film, B-roll and photo gallery that is free to you, and they're amazing, amazing photos. We'll get you the link to that. You just have to say it's from the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel, and they're yours to blow up and put in your lobby, to send to whatever you need those images for. We have a great bank of them. We put out press releases. We do crisis communications when we have hurricanes, and we have red tide, and we have gosh only knows. We help you with talking points. So say there's the red tide and the blue-green algae and the red drift, and what's the difference between the 3 of them? We have access to resources because we work for Lee County, so we can pull that together and then send that to you so that you know what you're talking about. We also do film permitting. So when people come here and they want to do a movie or a commercial or something, they have to go through this pretty extensive vetting process that goes through Miriam to see if they can do that. And then we also have some social media accounts that I hope you're subscribing to: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Well, we have all of the things, but we do Facebook and LinkedIn for industry partners. And then moving forward, Lauren, this is what New York does.
So our approach from the agency side is multifold. We work to generate press coverage. That's probably the number one outward thing that you guys see all the time. That's print, broadcast, online outlets. To engage with the media, with industry leaders like yourselves, with influencers, tastemakers, and consumers. We also work with a lot of brands and strategic partners. We develop promotions and different opportunities for alignment. We create interest and demand through content. Basically, at the end of the day, we're storytellers. So how do we engage with the consumers and the media? We collaborate with local and national partners. That's why we're all in this room today, to get some better collaboration, to tell all the stories that are available right here. And we drive traffic primarily to the VCB's website, but if you're participating in a press trip and so forth, there's usually links and mentions of all of the partners in those, so you'll see a bounce in your website traffic and social media activity as well. And we protect the brand image, primarily through crisis communications, which we will talk about a little bit more in depth at the end of this presentation. So what we primarily do is we have what we call a news bureau, which works in a proactive and a reactive capacity. So proactively, we're developing press materials, and that's everything from press releases and pitches to editorial calendars. We're writing customized story angles and distributing those every month. We're doing press trips. We're getting speaking opportunities. Francesca spoke at the New York Times Travel Show last year, which had, and we did get a slot again this year, just so you know. I didn't even tell you that yet. So, yes. So we have the opportunity to talk to a very large audience of people. Reactively, we're getting requests from writers all the time for information, what's going on, as well as, can I come see the destination? And we're also doing fact checking, we're monitoring what our competitors are doing, and so forth. But the bottom line is we always want to target the right media with the right story at the right time. So who are we targeting, Maeve?
So our target markets, both top and secondary, are determined from our work with the marketing team. So those are really influenced by where we see visitors coming from, where the flight routes are going. So as you can see, our top for this year includes some of the major cities. We've got New York, Boston, Atlanta, Chicago, Cleveland, Nashville. So those markets are also where we look to engage with media, since we want to be engaging with media in the areas where we see visitors coming from. We also, the VCB team works on the in-state markets as well, so we've got where the in-state visitors are coming from. And then for interest groups, these are the segments of travelers that we've kind of divided up based on their interests. So we have some catchy names for them, like the seafoodies, people who are coming, to sample the local food. We also have the families and multi-generational travelers, groups who are traveling with their grandparents or great-grandparents and young kids. We, of course, have millennials, but also people who are coming down on romantic vacations, whether it be for a destination wedding or a honeymoon. Obviously, the beaches, we have that in plenty. So people who want to go out on the water, people who are really interested in the sustainable aspects of the area, all of the parks and the beautiful nature that we have. Those are really big groups, and people, they want to come down for those attractions, so we're folding our stories to mold those interests. So we also look to target media based on those interests. As you can see here, we've kind of segmented some of the publications based on the topic or area that they would be particularly interested in. So for adventure, we target publications that specialize in the outdoors and in nature. National Geographic, a lot of those stories are folded around the areas where you can go biking or climbing. So we try to fold some of the aspects of the destination into topics that those publications would be interested in. Obviously, the outdoors and nature are really big areas for the destination, seeing as you have plenty of the beaches, you've got birds. That's also an area that we're seeing a particular uptick in interest in, as well as just general lifestyle. Stories that would be applicable to a broad range of categories, not just ones that are folded around people who want to be outdoors or spend times by the beaches, but really interesting stories or angles that might have a human interest angle. We're also looking at, of course, the newspapers. Something that would be good to point out here is the difference between the magazines. You've got The Self and Bon Appetit, but also stories that are appearing on a daily basis for publications like USA Today and the Boston Globe. So we're looking at outlets that work within specific markets, but also outlets that are publicized on a national scale. Family, that's a really big area, since people are coming down to the destination with their family, with their kids and grandparents. So we're trying to fold these stories into areas that would be of interest for those particular publications. Trade is also another area we look at, so publications that target travel agents, the people that are booking those trips for their clients. So getting in front of them a lot of the times is like the first line for the national lifestyle media, since a lot of the news that goes through trade is then filtered out towards publications that have a consumer audience. So this kind of goes back to what Lauren said. At the end of the day, we're storytellers. So what are the stories that we're looking to share? These are some of the areas that we tend to fold pitches around. So company news, are there any new initiatives or programs? Have there been any new appointments? Also seasonal events, what are you guys doing for the holidays? Is there a light show? Is there a Santa Claus that's coming to town? Things that are really good seasonally, since a lot of times publications look for seasonal stories. Evergreen is our way of saying stories that are, or topics that are good year-round. So beaches and island hopping is a big one, since that's something that you can do any time of the year and isn't going away anytime soon. So core messaging points and key selling points that we look to kind of highlight on an annual basis, and then also putting those in with creative topics. We do a lot of stunt development and creative packaging and strategic alliances with like-minded brands, which we'll go into a bit later as well. So targeting publications with new attention-grabby hooks that will kind of get their attention. Also trends and insight. A lot of our pitching is really dependent on trends. So road trips is a great example. People are really seeing a rising interest in getting on the road and carving out these elongated itineraries that highlight things that you can see via car. So our pitches, we tend to look at those to influence what we're talking about, since we know it's what editors and writers are going to be looking for in terms of stories. So something that we do on an annual basis is put together an editorial calendar with topics that we're going to be pitching for the coming year. This is a look at what we're going to be talking about going into 2020. Some of the topics that we have for the first few months, January through April: hotel openings. We know that the Luminary is coming up. Since hotel openings are really big initiatives for a destination, that's always something that's attention grabbing. Also Ding Darling 75th, a big anniversary, and anniversaries, timely hooks like that are really attention grabbing and a good way to secure media interest. But also just evergreen topics like spring break and spring training, things that are coming around each year, but for a certain period of months are going to be of a particular interest. For the most part, everyone loves baseball and everybody goes on a spring break trip, so making sure that we're positioning the destination and your partners within those stories. Also Earth Day, since as we mentioned, sustainability is a rising trend, and it's something that we can really speak to in the area, since there are an abundance of natural attractions and natural wealth. So that's a really great way for us to focus on stories around the holiday. And then as well, we would love to hear from you guys as to what packages, initiatives, events that you have going on that we could fit into these, since all of our pitches, they're focused around the destination, which includes all of you. So any way that we can pull new information or deals even that we can highlight within our outreach is a great way for us to just add in something extra to really secure media attention. So when we're talking about coverage, coverage is really influenced with different forms of outlets. So roundups are a way to feature multiple areas within a destination, since you want to be always included in the same category as your competition. So feature coverage is a more extended piece, really honing in on one area, whereas roundups are a great way for us to include multiple areas. So they're normally formed around specific topics, like you can see the best US beach towns, the best places to visit within a certain month. A lot of times that's also influenced by what is going on for a certain time. So as you can see, during March, we want to talk about spring training. Beach towns, for Florida, we want to make sure that Sanibel, Captiva, Fort Myers is included. Another few examples. All publications do Roundup. That's a great example of evergreen. They're going on year round. And for the most part, they're focused around states. It could be focused around the different brews or things for a season. So we want to make sure that we're included within those and that we're always providing not just our key selling points, but also fresh information to make those timely hooks even more relevant. Pass it off for press strips.
Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit more about press trips. So Maeve was kind of discussing how we pitch and can get into those great roundups, but by hosting media in destination, we get these really great feature stories. In the last fiscal year, we hosted 5 group press trips with 91 journalists visiting, and we got some really great stories from that. Here are just a few examples from there. Fathom, which is a very millennial-focused travel outlet, we hosted journalist Carrie Allen here, and she wrote just this really amazing in-depth story about Sanibel, Captiva, and the other islands within the area. And stories like these are how people really get to know the destinations. While roundups are great and you're included with a competitive set, these are what make people want to come here and book. Rova magazine, which people may not be that familiar with, but it's a camping-focused magazine. We hosted a journalist, and she wrote a 3-page feature in there, really focusing on a more niche area of the destination, camping, but these are the people who are really booking and coming through after reading that. Here's an example of a group press trip that we recently did around the Island Hopper Music Festival. We hosted 6 journalists, I believe, and they had an amazing time. Tammy Ragusa, we actually met her at an event that we hosted in Nashville as kind of a ramp up for this event. And she wrote this really great in-depth piece on the festival that not only talked about the festival, but each and every place that we went, where we stayed at, where we went to eat, where we got coffee from, where we grabbed a beer at. She really made sure every single partner that worked with us on this trip was represented. And as you saw before, Nashville is a huge market for us. So being included in this was really great. And there was eyes on you of people already planning on coming to this destination. And so now these partners are ones that want to check out. Wide Open Country was also part of this press trip. And in addition to a story that they wrote for the website, they also did an Instagram takeover. So an Instagram takeover is kind of a diversion from the usual postings that they'll have, and it's usually a story, and they'll do it live on the ground in the destination and just go through everything that we are doing, to kind of give people who weren't able to come to Island Hopper this year an inside look. The Pink Shell, who hosted us this year, was mentioned multiple times, and they were kind of like encouraging people to come, and they got a lot of social play from that too, which is an added bonus to the story. In December, we hosted freelancer Wendy Altschler, and she's kind of been the gift that keeps on giving. This is a great example of why hosting journalists is so important, because while she came down with just one confirmed assignment, over the last 12 months, she's produced 6 articles with over 100 million impressions, which is amazing, all from one trip that she came through. And it's a variety of different outlets. Red Tricycle, which is more family focused. Trip Savvy, which is great for like the budget travelers. And then this really great piece that she included Jean's bookstore in for Forbes, which put them among a comp set that they normally wouldn't have been, and really showed this amazing part of the destination that a lot of people don't know. Okay. And then social media is also another great way an added bonus from press trips. So a lot of times when journalists are here, they'll be posting to their personal accounts. And while many times journalists don't have the insane numbers or reach of a mega influencer or someone who is a full-time social media person, they have a circle of followers who really know and trust their input, because they know they travel all over the world and they really understand how things work, where it'll result in more bookings because people believe them and will go to them. You can look at the comment sections from a really big influencer compared to these, and the comment section on the bigger influencer may be about like, oh, you look great, heart emoji, things like that. But on their conversations, you can really see like, oh, you're in Fort Myers, where'd you go? If I'm going there in December, where should I stay? They're having these really in-depth conversations, and that type of engagement really shows a turnover into bookings, which is what we all really want. And here's just a list of some press trips that we are developing for 2020. We're going to start off, our first one of the year will be around conservation, around Ding Darling's 75th anniversary. So really showing off different like amazing environmental and sustainability efforts the destination's having. And we're still in the process of planning all these, so we can chat about it a little later, but if anyone's interested in participating or hosting or anything, we'd always love the help. In March, we'll be doing a Beers and Brews press trip that's around spring training and the amazing craft brewery scene that's popping up in the area. In May, we'll be doing one titled Florida Luminaries, which is really about the culture and architecture of the area, kind of focusing on the opening of the Luminary Hotel and how that's really going to do a lot for the downtown area. And then we'll also be doing Island Hopper again, because it was such a success last year, and we're really excited to get some more journalists down to experience it. Maeve touched on travel trades a little bit earlier, but we just wanted to show some examples of the trade magazines. Like she said, these are what travel agents are reading, and it's really important because they're the one booking the trips, but it's also what consumer editors are reading to get some of their story ideas, and it's a great way to get news out there. As you can see, we had this amazing in-depth article giving us the all clear about red tide, which is great, and we just always want to be up to date and have these trade editors knowing what's going on in the destination. Media tours are another facet of what we do. This is when we go to those top destinations where we see a lot of travelers coming from, and we get some really great one-on-one FaceTime with editors that we normally wouldn't. So it's usually 2 or 3 days. Either Francesca or Jackie or someone from the VCB team will accompany us, and we'll go to these destinations and just meet with journalists so the destination can be top of mind and they can really learn about what's going on. And it's a great way to get them down to the destination eventually, or just to write stories from what we share when we're there. And it's really great because a city like Philadelphia we went to last year, they have now direct flight routes. So if they're seeing in their local paper, they're more likely to book and come and visit us. And in 2020, we're planning on visiting Washington, D.C., doing a 3-city tour in Texas, and then also Atlanta. So. And then media events are also something else we do. We usually try to line them up when we're doing our media tours. Last year we did a tap takeover in New York City with Travel Massive, and I know Jackie was there, so she's just going to chat a little bit more about that.
So I just talking to this? Is this how it goes? Okay, great. Hi, everybody. So this was something that we did in May, and the turnaround on this was amazing. So what we did was we partnered with our NJF folks in New York, and they partnered with Travel Massive, which is this group. It's a community of travel writers in New York City, and they have the Travel Massives all across the country. So what they did was they said, okay, Travel Massive, your next meeting, we're going to do it at a bar, and we're going to do a tap takeover. And we're going to bring in beer from Fort Myers Brewing, and you get to taste that and have a little cocktail party and meet with some folks that can tell you about the destination. And this was a really great way for us to partner with a local craft brewery and introduce, some New York travel writers to, one of the things that we really like to promote here in the destination. So one of the people that we talked to there was Rob Rose of Raw Travel, and that actually turned into a TV show. They came here, shot in the destination in July. And it has been on the CW and on Wink a couple of times, and it's going to, okay, here, I'm getting ahead, sorry. So here was just a little clip from Raw Travel, and it showed it aired in October and November, and it's going to air again January 4th, so set your DVR unless you're up at 6:30 a.m. to check out the CW. And the thing that was really great about this is that you've heard them talk a lot about road trips. He does RV road trips domestically, and then internationally he does different things. But as far as when he's in the United States, he does RV, and he stayed at Red Coconut. He rented an RV locally and drove around the destination, went to Matlacha, Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, did some fishing on Ding Darling. And so it was just a really great way to highlight the area in a 30-minute show. It wasn't, just a few minutes. The destination was featured on the entire broadcast. Thanks.
Here, I'll show you. So we're going to play just the trailer for the TV show so you can get a sense of what it is.
We're taking an RV road trip to the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel. Let the adventure begin. We're taking an RV road trip to the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel. Let the adventure begin.
Routine is the enemy of creativity, but to hone it.
We're taking an RV road trip to the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel. Let the adventure begin.
Routine is the enemy of creativity, but to hone a craft takes practice. I think I'm getting pretty good at this RV. Repetitive. Each destination and vehicle brings a unique set of adventures. On this outing, I decided to stretch my skills a bit and rent a slightly larger motorhome. And I wanted to have an epic beach experience in an RV, something I'd never attempted before. I knew very little about the southwest coast of Florida and the picturesque area of Fort Myers and Sanibel. That needs to change. Let's stretch our minds, our skills, and our hearts. It's time for an RV road trip to the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel. Travel. For some, it's a luxurious escape, or maybe an adrenaline.
So this aired, as Jackie mentioned, on over 100 stations on network TV. I know a lot of the work that destination shows are on PBS, or you might see on Travel Channel. This one was on CW, Fox. It aired all over the country, and it will air internationally, and he does sell clips also to some in-flight operations. So for what was a very successful turnaround, and we had our event in May, right? He was on the ground in July, and this started to air in November. So sometimes we work extremely fast, so you might get a phone call for a really quick turnaround. But this just showed the power of all of our capabilities, just sort of rolled into a really great opportunity at a very low cost, just basically hosting him on the ground. So tune in. Check out the rest of the show. Another thing that we do are strategic alliances. So Vineyard Vines is obviously a big retail brand. It's very well known, and it's one that we like to align ourselves with. So a lot of what we do is look for third-party partners, right? Someone else who can tell our story through a different lens. So knowing that we were coming off of a really interesting year with Red Tide, you know, we held a lot of our communications until literally the coast was clear, and we wanted to come out kicking at the end. So we had called upon Vineyard Vines and invited them to do photo shoots on location here, and as you can see, this resulted right around spring break time, so the timing was great, just to get word out about our beautiful beaches that was shot here, and everyone can see this is a great place to come, and just sort of helped reinforce our messaging while getting the stamp of approval from a large company like this. So we're always looking for a variety of different brands and partners. So if anyone has relationships, we're more than happy to explore those. If you see certain brands that are being worn or people are talking about too, you know, we're happy to take all of that information in and really hit the ground running on who our next collaboration will be with. Crisis communications, I think, is a topic that we all, you know, need to refresh ourselves on time and again. Hopefully we will never see what we saw in the last year, but we thought we'd go over a few key points on refreshers that will help us get set up for success in the event of something happening. And obviously that can be a natural disaster, it can be, you know, God forbid, you know, shootings and all of these other things that take place every day. You need to sort of have your ducks in a row before something should happen. So yeah, some of the basics are here. Just, you know, how do we identify and define the crisis? And, you know, it's so important to gather all the information and the facts. We always want to answer, and this is talking about media, this is talking about guests, it's talking about who your audience is specifically. They want to know the who, what, where, when, why, and how. You always want to be proactive in how you're talking about the situation, and you always want to have an answer for a reactive statement. And typically, depends on the situation, obviously, how much you want to go out forward-wise in a proactive way and tell people proactively about it, or do you want to wait for them to ask questions and then react to it, if that makes any sense. So we always want to just be prepared. So the importance of having a crisis response team and a spokesperson is critical. We saw that in the last year, that messaging needs to be kept consistent across all forms of communication. So there needs to be somebody who's sort of the keeper of the information, and then we'll disseminate it to everybody. Compiling all news, reports, all sources, scientific reports, and being able to be the distributor for that core messaging that you want trickled down to all levels of staff, of consumers, of guests, and so forth. And of course, you want to utilize your local contacts. I mean, there are professionals that have tools, tips, and statements that you can pull from. So, regardless of the crisis situation, know that this team here is always going to be at your side for something that occurs. So you always have some professionals in your back pocket.
All right, I'll do these. So the big thing we also learned about Red Tide is that so many of our partners didn't have a crisis communications plan. And that's just so critical. So I just would really encourage you to have something, even if it's really basic, like when the crisis happens, who is your spokesperson, just some basic preparedness will really, really help you. So there was some do's and some don'ts we just want to run by with experience. So do communicate with one message and one voice. And it also says consistency. The third one is consistency, speaking points with your internal team. So you have a crisis, right? And the first thing you want to do is like say something to the media. Let's just pick Red Tide and let's pick that you're a hotel and you want to say everything is okay or whatever your points are, but you forget to tell your team. You forget to tell the person answering the phone, or you forget to tell your customer service person. So they're saying their own thing, and then you're saying something else. And I think that's a big mistake, is that the leadership team is so busy thinking about what they're going to say outwardly that they forget all the inwardly people, and those are your best people. So just remember that whatever your talking points are, you got to have it across the board, from the person answering the phone, from the person cleaning the room if you're a hotel, to the person at the top. Everyone has to have the same thing, and we do that. We do talking points for you all if you need it, and for our team when we're having a crisis as well. Let the media public know you're willing to cooperate. So I want to tell you a quick story about that. So I have a brother who has a risk management company, and many years ago I was a journalist. So I was the journalist and he was the risk management company, and he wrote a media plan that he showed me, and the number one thing was don't talk to the media, right? And I'm his journalist sister. And I said, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, because the first thing I will do if you don't talk to me is think either you're hiding something or I'm going to start digging. So I said, if you're not ready, you just say, I'd like to share with you whatever's happening. Just give me an hour, give me half a day. So fast forward, his client is Outward Bound, which is a group of, it's an organization where kids go climb mountains and find themselves, or raft through the Himalayas and find themselves. They're doing physical things to find themselves, right? And some of them are challenging. So these kids were in a tent in Alaska, and for whatever reason, a bear came to the tent, and one of these 15-year-old kids got out of the tent and punched the bear in the nose, right? Which is not really appropriate. So it started leaking. The kids are starting to tell, this bear came to our tent, and oh my God. So he calls me at midnight in Florida, and he says, I don't know what to do. The media are going to start asking me, what am I going to do? And I said, well, I was groggy, and I said, I just need to know one thing. Do kids regularly punch bears in the face in Alaska? And he's like, no, I don't punch them in the face. And I said, okay, well, then we got to write a story. I got to help you, make this a heroic story. So we said that the kid was a hero, and this story went all the way around the world. It went to the BBC. And the reason I'm giving you an example is because two things are going to happen, right? The kid's a hero if you help spin the story, if you help create your own narrative, or terror on Alaskan mountain. Both are true, right? Both are true. There was some terror on the mountain when a bear came, right? That's one way of saying it. Or if you can just take control of it a little bit, it's like a hero story that goes around the world to the BBC. So I think that's what what we mean by just being educated about your talking points. But I would talk to the media. There's only 3 of them left anyway. I mean, the poor media is just shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. But just know what you're going to say, and be prepared to say it, and have your whole team know what you're going to say. And if you don't know right away, you just tell them, I know you have a deadline, I'll get to you. You know, we'll get to you, we promise, by the end of the day. And it's like that. If you don't know the answer, just admit it, you'll look into it. I also don't believe in answering hypotheticals. So it's like, what would you do if? When's red tide going to end? Like, questions that you have no idea, right? So if you don't have any idea, don't answer the question. It's just going to get you in trouble, because just answer questions that you know, that you're comfortable answering. And then in the days of social media, you can provide regular updates. So whatever your issue is, there's ways that you can get that out to the public by using your social media. And then also, just lastly, I want to touch on the tell the truth thing. So sometimes what you want to happen isn't really happening. I sort of live like that sometimes, like, oh, I want this to happen. I'm going to say it's happening, but it hasn't happened yet. Like, red tide is over when maybe it isn't really totally over. And that will just burn you. You have to be very realistic about your answers. You can't live in a hopeful state. So tell the truth, the whole truth, when it's happening. And then when it's over, you can scream from the mountaintops that it's over. And then these seem sort of obvious, but don't blame people or be defensive. And here's a really good example, and I think you'll all remember this. During the BP oil spill, when it was the worst oil spill in history, and the CEO was talking to some reporters, and he'd been up all night, and there was mass casualties for the animals, and they were covered in tar, and he said, I just want to get my life back, And everybody was like, oh, you're going to get your life back. So he got fired, they lost millions of dollars. I mean, it's like, that's why Bill Gates says, if I had one last dollar, I'd spend it on PR, because you say something like, I want to get my life back, you've just done such terrible damage to your brand. And you all know there's many, many examples of that. I mean, Lori Loughlin, who got her kid to go to college by saying she was a hockey player or whatever she was. I mean, I can't even remember anymore, swimmer or something. Anyway, so she lost her whole Hallmark gig because she's not like fairy tale princess anymore. I mean, you have to think about what you're saying and who you are, and it affects you and your company and your brand. Again, don't feel pressured to answer every question and questions you don't know. And the off-the-record thing. So as journalists, and everyone on my team is a former journalist, we used to, that was an honorable thing. This is off the record. But with the 3 of them just left, I just wouldn't go there. Unless you've really got a great relationship and you trust each other, I just wouldn't say things that are off the record. Just as insurance. Just say what you're going to say, and then that's my, if it was me, I would honor your off the record, but I wouldn't do it. Don't demonstrate a great deal of emotion during interviews. I guess that depends, right? Unless something really, really, really horrible happened. But in general, don't be overly emotional. If you are, get someone else to answer the questions. And then release damage or cost estimates without confirming accuracy. Yeah, whenever there's money to talk about, just know what you're doing. And then let's discuss. So we want to have you guys ask any of us, our whole team, any questions that you have. And then afterwards, we're just going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get small groups and talk about some things like what trends you're seeing, what issues, challenges you're having, and we're going to have a team member at all the groups. So do you all have any questions? And you can ask questions in your groups too, but do you have any questions? Beth?
Hi, Beth with Offshore Sailing School. I just have a comment. When there is a crisis situation, I've been in different companies where we have had them, and even little old Offshore Sailing School, has a crisis of a type on occasion. And it's important, if you don't already know who should be the one person on your team answering those questions, you need to decide that now. And it isn't always the owner of the company. It needs to be, frankly, the least emotional, most professional, most forthright You know, because an owner of a company, a small company, like lots of ours are, there will be emotion, because it is their legacy, their livelihood, their everything. So you need to figure out who that is, and then as you said, Francesca, when something does happen, you've got to tell your whole internal team almost first. And
Yes.
they can refer to you, so that they get the onus off their own back and don't have to feel like they have to make something up or be the one to tell the story. And the second thing is, it doesn't become a crisis. If you're not inserted in it, you might have had something to do with it, but you haven't been named by somebody else. You're a sailboat. You're not offshore sailing school. I don't call up and say, oh, that was us. So just let things ride sometimes, and it will take care of itself. I don't care what happens with a sailboat. You know, I mean, I do what I
Right.
from this perspective. So don't feel like you might know that you're behind something that happened. But if nobody else does, you don't have to raise your hand.
Agreed. Anyone else? Yeah.
You might disagree with this, but
Okay.
I say I've been in radio 50+ years, and I dealt with newspapers, and I also worked at a hospital and was chairman of the board when we fired the CEO. I would say do not play favorites with the media. The newspaper wanted an exclusive story on the CEO, and I refused to do it. I go, we're going to have the press conference at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not going to have you put it in the paper at 8 o'clock in the morning before the employees have a chance to know directly
That's right.
from me.
That's very smart. I agree. Anyone else?
What are tastemakers? I saw that one. I know what influencers are, but tastemakers?
Tastemakers?
Is that foodie stuff? One of the
Yeah, we use them as sort of, they're sort of influencers, like different people who will, just influence people in a variety of ways, whether they're an actual influencer. What?
Trendsetters.
Yeah, they're trendsetters. Yeah, people we want to follow, generally. I think that term was around before influencers really came into the picture.
All right. Anyone else? Over here? Yeah.
So, y'all ever get any good results using like a PR newswire or any of the services?
I'll let you answer that. PR
Negative
Newswire.
results or actual results? Sorry, I didn't hear.
One more time.
Do you ever get good results or do you ever use?
Do you use PR Newswire? We got good results.
Mm-hmm.
Any of the services that are available online?
Yeah, so we will use PR Newswire and other paid services of that nature on an as-needed basis. So, for example, we used it when the red tide crisis was over, and we wanted to blanket the world, really, with the all-clear messaging. So it was worth the money spent that way. On a day-to-day sort of basis, we don't recommend it. One, because it is a service to use, but also we find more personal pitching and relationships that way will get us more coverage. So, we actually did a deep dive into this like a year or so ago to see where the articles are going, and a lot of the services these days for PR Newswire, Business Wire, you probably heard of MarketWire, there's a whole bunch of these paid services, and they have paid placements with a lot of these online outlets, but a lot of them are really deep backlinks. So if you go on to like NewYorkPost.com and you Google, red tide, Fort Myers or something, like you might not be able to pull up that article, whereas it does live on the site. So we don't, it's sort of on a really case-by-case basis. So I would say, they're all sort of built similarly these days, but with the churn and burn of the news cycle, we just like to sometimes just push stuff out personally to get the return email back. Somebody can just hit reply easier than reading it on their wire service. Yeah, it depends. For really big news like crises and that stuff, for businesses, like when public businesses have really big news, you want to put it out there because that'll sort of get a different level of attention with the business outlets. So really, I think, if I'm happy to talk to you specifically about stuff, but on a day-to-day travel sort of basis, yeah, hit or miss. Sure.
All right, anybody else? Yeah, way back there? Yeah, here she comes. All the way in the corner.
Hi, Jerry Miller. I'm with Gardner's Park, and I've done a lot of videos over the years on the River District primarily, and they're pretty popular. One thing, and I don't know if this is the right forum to bring this up, but you guys do the VCB just some like amazing videos. Just one comes to mind, I Am the Sea.
Yeah.
A bunch of great ones, but down in Key West, you go to the hotel, there's a channel just like a VCB channel 24/7. Now, I know that's a big lift, but have you considered having like a one-stop repository that plays 24/7, like your own TV channel, but online maybe to start, of all these great videos, rather than have them all kind of all over the place? So it's just throwing it out there because I think that would be, well received.
Yeah, well, we actually have some marketing people here. LA, have we ever thought about doing something like that, or Courtney?
It's a good idea. It's something we'd have to discuss in more detail because it would be a significant investment to get enough footage to run for 24 hours. But it's definitely something we can look at and see whether or not that would work. But yeah, video is really something that people are using to make decisions, and I think it's a good suggestion.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else? And again, you can feel free to ask questions in your groups. Let's take like 5-10 minutes, grab some snacks, restrooms, water, and we'll group you. We should have put up the questions. Everyone's going to do the same questions. They're the same. Yeah, you can sit wherever you want, or what do you mean? Hi. Let me guess.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm working with the Military Museum
Yes.
in Florida.
That's great.
I'm helping Denise and Richard
Okay, everybody. Break time is officially over. We're going to walk around and put everybody in groups of 6 or assemble in groups of 6 yourself. All right, let's go.
Okay.
All right. All right.
September, yeah.
Okay, do you want to be in a group of 6? Crow, I love Crow. All right, how about come on over here? I'm putting you guys together in a group of 6. Would you mind joining this group? Okay. Okay. Do you guys want to be in a group of 6 together over here? Okay. Here's the 6, or whoever. Okay, good. Nancy's here? Good. She's going to be the leader. All right. Nancy, you're the leader of this group. Too late. All right. These are your people, and I'll get you a notepad because you got to take notes. Okay, there you go. So those are the questions right there that you guys are going to answer together? Yeah, you're all together. You're one family right here, this table. Okay. Okay. You guys are together? Okay. Are you guys together?
Sure.
Okay, Mary is your person?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Ray, you gotta go be some. Yeah. Here you go. Ray, this is your team. Nancy's that team. Okay, Lawrence is. Okay, let's go find you another team. Oh, Maeve's there.
It's all right. I might have to.
Okay, yeah, you might. It's Miriam's. Yeah.
This one, I mean, if we need to double up.
Yeah, you can double up with Miriam. Jackie, before the end of the day, can you talk to this woman? She wants to meet someone who knows about beer. I'm like, we have a beer specialist. We have a beer person who's going to a conference because they do things called the beer crier, where they go to breweries and they sing.
That's cute.
And so I said, oh, you gotta talk to Jackie because I'm not very helpful. You can go hang out with Miriam. I'm just gonna attach to a team. You want a team?
No, I was going to attach my splum on these guys.
Yes, do it. You got it. That's Jackie. She's gonna talk to you later. That's your beer crier helper. I'll sit. Yeah, you get there and I'll sit with you guys.
I'm a realtor too, and I'm the developer of the Gardeners Park project, which is a project, I don't know if you know Gardeners Park, it's walkable, it's about a block or two from downtown. And it has mixed-use zoning, so there's already like a gallery and the butterfly stage there. Wisteria tea room.
Also, like condos or apartments or anything, or just
We're doing a combination of 4 townhomes, attached homes, and up to 7, either 5 or 7 loft-style, smaller condos, loft, live work. We want to promote live work.
Okay, and it's all new construction.
All new construction. And we're looking at other phases. This is like the first phase. The homes are probably going to be a little more, we're not quite sure of the affordability, but the range of prices are in the 200s to the 400s. A lot of different products.
So I'm guessing live work is a trend that you guys are seeing, or at least targeting towards. Yeah, I mean, that's what we've noticed as well.
That's a good point. Airbnb Gardeners Park has blossomed in the last years. with people jumping on that bandwagon. We do it ourselves.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you guys operate some of your listing yourself?
I operate just one.
Okay.
VRBO.
And then the homeowners list them independently?
Yes.
I see.
And the good thing in that area, it's urban general, which is allowed. So if they're going to crack down in other parts of the town, being urban general is by right. You can do that kind of thing. And you know what the selling point is? It's a block from downtown. It's what they've done downtown for festivals. You don't have to get in your car, you just walk. It's really great.
I'm very guilty that things went down there.
I know.
I agree. I think it's really up and coming. I think the architecture is impeccable and it's something that you wouldn't really notice unless it was called out to you. I think with the luminary coming up too, it's kind of like an added focus on it. I love the art emphasis in downtown as well. About galleries, I think art walk as well. I think that's super cool. I'm super guilty.
No, that's good. We could probably take the art to another level. You know?
I mean, I agree. I mean, have you guys explored your development that focus around like activations for the community?
Yeah. We're trying to bring the art towards Gardner's Park. Yeah, in the Gardner's Park plan, there was one of the action items was put art in the retention area. There's big giant parks. When I grew up, they weren't fenced; they were parks. But for some reason, for liability, they fence them. So at least we can put art inside, gated, so people can walk by. That's one thing. You know, Dots Gallery is a great gallery in Gardner's Park. Marcus Jansen just moved to the, technically he's out of Gardner's Park, but we saw Marcus Jansen as a famous German artist.
Yeah.
Unit A is his gallery, he's fantastic. And each of the developments that we're involved with, we want to have some kind of component of art. Well, that's a great point. Like, how do we bring, like, Sidney Byrne Davis right now is that. That's it.
Well, the luminary is bringing a whole outer, performance area. Yeah, they are. It's pretty. Oh, how many rooms is the luminary going to be? Shoot. Yeah, I wanted to say. I was going to say. Yeah, I was going to say 220.
Okay, somewhere in between.
Yeah, but no, they're going to have a beautiful outdoor. What's the name of it? But like, yeah, amphitheater. Yeah.
The one thing I didn't like is when they had their rates posted for other people wanted, like bands. I thought they were very expensive.
Rates to actually be in the amphitheater.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be like really low, really when I saw them. Maybe they can change.
Maybe they can. Yeah.
I mean, the outdoor space to rent it?
Yeah, I guess he's saying it was high, but
yeah.
I'm sure they'll.
The general manager is really nice. Very informative.
I don't know how large it is.
We were going to ask him.
And it's nice too that they're even offering that and kind of engaging with that aspect. And not many of you know they can just do the hotel. And so I think actually having that space, that's going to be really interesting to see how they work with it.
Yeah. I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be music.
Well, no, but I'm saying like how large is it? How large?
They say up to 800 people, they say.
Oh, they accommodate 800?
That's what they said.
It's.
Yeah,
I know it's
very
big.
bad.
Yeah.
But I would like to see more like more details. Kind of, you know, when's it happening and what's the time?
Well, the last I heard, because I actually took a tour over there last week, August 6th, 2020 is when they want to open. And they're going to have 4 restaurants.
Yes.
I mean, those look so good, and they showed us the prototypes of the restaurants.
They all sound fantastic.
They really do.
Like
So,
one's a diner, like New Seals or something.
Yeah.
Then one's where
Your office used to be the pier building. That's going to be like you can go kayaks and look at
more like an outdoor
conference
thing.
rooms.
Yeah, they have conference rooms. You do, well, and also, do you remember the old harbor side? Do you guys know that? Well, so I walked in there, and that whole like ballroom area, you know, is going to be, it's gutted. It's going to be gorgeous. They're redoing it. So there's a lot of space.
I like that they're emphasizing the history of the area.
Yeah, the Silver King is one of the restaurants.
The Silver King. And then Lucille's, isn't that named after someone as well, I want to say? And I know that all of the restaurants like harken back to luminaries
Yes.
from the area.
Yeah.
So that was like my thought. I know
Like a
they have a
flag that
cafe that has like, that's named after one of the
It was very
like,
thoughtful.
luminaries.
All right, you guys, we have 5 minutes.
What are we doing?
Okay, quickly. You got to ask these questions. What are the greatest challenge? Okay, basically, who is your target market and what is your dream outlet? Meaning, if you could be in any newspaper or magazine, what would you want it to be in?
TV.
Okay, you want to be on TV, like on a particular show, or?
No, just travel show or.
Well, for the concert band, if we
for
could
the
get
art.
mentioned, sometimes they do the weather and they'll put up a list of what's happening
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
day.
You mean like the local news? Okay. Okay, local news. Got it. All right, what about you guys?
You know, actually, the same thing. So Wink TV had a reporter, Taylor Basaki, who's now in San Francisco. They stole her away. But she used to do features on Gardeners Park. And I was so grateful. Like, who the heck is going to talk about it? And she did, and it was on TV, and there's no one else out there. So I'm with you. Just
right.
like a local spot.
Local spot. What about you? Yeah. National.
You're the Wonder Garden? Oh, I love the Wonder Garden. It's like one of my favorite. I love that guy because I went to. He was so nice to me. We were shooting a little local film about aliens visiting Fort Myers. And he said, yes, use this. So one of my favorite scenes is the alien talking to your flamingo. Yeah, I'll send you the link. Naples.
Yeah, I see what you're
don't
saying.
realize how great that is. Reciprocal. That's awesome. It's not for the Naples Botanical, though. Well, you know what? I don't like that.
We don't like that.
You have no opinion. Tell us what you think.
No, I had a little botanical.
All right.
Dog policy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, what are your greatest challenges you're facing this year?
We need percussionists. I don't know how you solve that.
Okay, I'm writing it down, though.
Well, in terms of us, we can advertise nationally for our festival, which is every year, in February. So that's just something that anybody can come to. So we've tried advertising in like national music organizations, publications, like that. We didn't really get anything. Tell me a little more about this festival. It's a choral festival. Anybody can come, and it's a weekend. And we come and we sing, we work with a clinician. We have like 5 rehearsals, and then we do a performance that is free for the community. They do have to pay to register as part of it, pay tuition. But it's open to anybody who's in town. So it's something that if you're a choral singer.
That's what I was going to say when I was like, I don't think you want me showing.
Or me.
But have
But you have to be a singer.
Have you?
Well, you have to.
I was just going to say, so you're involved with the symphonic orchestra.
No, I'm not involved with the orchestra. I'm with the chorus.
Oh.
Symphonic
Chorus, okay.
It used to be quite simple, not anymore.
But then what is your challenge? Are you not getting enough people to come?
No, we are getting people, but they're all mostly local people. They're
You-
mostly
you
local
want a
people.
bigger-
We want to have more diversity in the. We want to get the word out. I mean, somebody is coming here for vacation. We want them to become aware that this date, the other day. I know, like,
We're actually doing that right now. Yeah. Right, that's what we do. Okay, what is your challenge, greatest challenge you're facing this year? Yeah.
Now it's spread out through the year. They've made programs through the
downtown area is very so I think that you guys I would love to talk about here because you'll get a ton of attention. I didn't know
I want to do, how many do we have? Hey, I'm not on. Oh. It's confusing. Hey, everybody, we're going to wrap it up in about 2 minutes, and we're going to have a prize. So that should get your attention. Okay, I say we do, so we have 3 prizes? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you do. All right. Amanda or somebody come draw. We'll stand in the front. Okay, did you guys put your cards in here? Yeah, of course. Do you guys have the same email? Because I want a similar email. Because I want to make sure you both get the links. Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah. I'm on. Last call for business cards. Anybody not give a business card? Aha. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Business cards?
I don't have any, but I want to write.
Yeah, do it.
You need to know. Just my name. We're just going to pull it out right now. Here. So. Okay. No.
No. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's okay. You're not the only one. Anybody else?
What are we doing?
Business card? Something?
Sure. You have to be present to win the renting card and say it.
I know. We're going to do it right now, Beth. Well, we're gonna do it like 3 different times. Okay, everybody, you in? You in? All right, here we go. All right. All right, everybody, it's prize time. You ready? Can they even hear me? Okay. All right, everybody who wants to win a prize, it's happening. Okay, we're about to win a prize. You're going to win a Tervis tumbler with a bunch of chocolate in it from the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel. And the winner is Brian Bowman from Crow. Yeah, Brian! There you go. There you go. Drink in peace. There you go.
Back in for the next one, or do we leave them?
We leave them out. Okay, so right now what we want to do is the leader of your group, we just want to quickly stand up and go over some of the things you determined. And then we're going to do a few more questions, win something else, do just a few more questions, win something else, and then we're going to go. So who wants to start? Lauren, do you want to start with your team? Annie will come with you.
Oh, she's got So with our group, we have Parks and Rec, we have real estate represented here, and we also have Scale, Marina, and the restaurant represented. So our conversation started with like who our target markets are, which is a lot of baby boomers, and to try to get some of the younger people to come in. The Parks Department was trying to get a lot more stand-up paddleboarding initiatives going on. They got the Showcasing Waves team down last year to shoot locally and tell that story. And it's, one of the things is educating the public here, the visitors who come in about what's free, what's available at low cost, and trying to get people out on the water, with families and young kids and naturalists and stuff. That the target markets for all of these were pretty much local, so it's once people arrive in destination, it's letting them know what there is available
Awesome. Yay, thank you. Okay, Miriam, you want to do your group?
We have a wide variety represented as well, from attractions to hotels, sailing, boating, Parks and Rec from Cape Coral. And we chatted so much we didn't even get through all of it, okay? So, so we were successful, but kind of just in a nutshell, some of the target markets are actually government association and military with Cooper Hotels, and trying to reach out to that market. So we also talked about getting in contact with our sales department too, and maybe some other opportunities that the VCB can help with. Getting to people who've got money to spend to be able to realize that offshore sailing has stuff, you don't have to actually go overseas. You know, there's stuff in Florida that they have multiple locations and they've made it really easy for people. So it's kind of letting people know that exists. Finding some digital space for Pure Florida was one of the other things, getting more in the digital market. And being able to be represented there. And then also through, like, Airbnb is one of the challenges, being able to break through the rental market and some of the demands that they give, and, you know, is it worth it for the business to do that? So I'm sure I'm missing some other maybe major things, but we also talked with Mary from the Promenade, reaching out to our New Englanders, because, you know, to come down here and get out and shopping and restaurant experience, and instead of keeping it local, like, we know that they're going to come down and maybe move here and live here and snowbird here, so here's this awesome spot for them to enjoy, for, you know, so it's both local and I think domestic and all over. So we kind of got a little off topic, so but it was good conversation.
All right, Shayna, what about you?
So we also had a good variety within our group of attraction, hotels, and then even real estate, which is really great. So for some of our target markets, for the Riverwalk and the different events they have, it's all markets. They want everyone and anyone to come. They have such a variety. It's really great there. Art and craft lovers. The European market's a huge market for real estate, especially. LGBTQ, families, couples, Midwest, and any snowbirds, really, and then also millennials. Attracting a younger market's important. And for some dream outlets, the local news is really big for a lot, especially for those events. That's kind of the biggest driver to get people there. Maybe some of the regional New England outlets to attract snowbirds for when they're coming down to know what's happening here, as well as some international outlets, Outlet Magazine for LGBTQ, Travel and Leisure, Vogue for the Sydney and Vern Davis fashion show, and then O Magazine. The greatest challenges that we're seeing for the art walk and different events like that, they're getting interest from younger travelers is something, a big challenge for them at the moment, and also resistance to change from some of their usual attendees. Getting pre-sale tickets is an issue, or people to buy tickets in advance is an issue. A lot of them are waiting until they get there, so they're not really sure the numbers and all that till it's over. And then, of course, red tide, which is affecting the booking pace, which is usually a lot faster than what's happening now. And then we got to trends last, and there wasn't many trends that we saw except for Pink Shell is really seeing an uptick in family reunions and multi-gen travel there. So that's something really interesting and another trend that we talked about.
Awesome. Maeve, you want to do yours?
Yeah.
So our group, we had real estate represented, also some arts group, Bonita Springs Wonder Garden, and then the Symphatic Chorale and orchestra. So Dave's looking for percussionists, if anyone knows. That besides some other challenges, I think that getting in front of visitors was something that came up, making sure that locally, you know, the news is represented so that people know what's going on when they come down here, and also engaging in ongoing initiatives and annual events and festivals, but also differentiating the different areas. Something we talked about was the difference and the growing interest in Fort Myers, downtown especially, versus people who are looking at homes out in Cape Coral and beyond. So I think kind of highlighting what makes this area special, and something that really is the arts available to people who have homes down here and are visiting. Target markets and dream outlets, of course we talked about local, getting in front of visitors and also people from the destination. Something that was brought up was Martha Stewart was down here recently, which I didn't know. Would have been great to have her hand feeding some flamingos, so we'll see if we can make that happen again. And trends we're seeing, really the emphasis on experiential feeding the flamingos, but really having those experiences just for individuals and families. So now I'll run back over to Ray.
Thank you. Thanks, Maeve. So, you stole my thunder on the Everglades Wonder Garden, which is one of my new favorites. I just think it's awesome. So, our target market is all over the map, basically everybody. And if I can use Everglades Wonder Garden as an example, they have created a membership, which I think is brilliant, for grandparents. They're cutting out the middleman. Grandparents and grandkids, so there's no parents involved. So complete, utter, and total spoilage. So suggestions were things like having sugar and caffeine at various places for sale throughout the walk. So it should work out pretty well. I'm excited to see that. As you can see, I'm a regular customer. But having said that as well, since we're past that, is the symphony, the Gulf Coast Symphony. Which actually has a unique challenge, and that's sort of what I was going to focus on. Even though we have a pretty diverse group of people here, we have a marketing firm, we have Crow, which is very important to the community, as well as everybody else at the table, thank you, and Sarah from the Sanibel Community House, and Lakes Park represented here as well. But challenge-wise, and it was kind of interesting, because the symphony would like more local coverage. So that's one of the things that we discussed and we're focusing on, is having an opportunity to get local media out there. And Sarah had a great suggestion, which was the morning shows, because there's a lot of flexibility in how they do it, and sometimes they're able to tape in the evening, so perhaps tape a rehearsal and come out and do the interview early in the morning. So one person gets tapped for the 5 a.m. slot and everyone else can stay in bed. But, challenge-wise, that's probably the biggest challenge facing Symphony. My favorite was Thomas wants to have Flamingo Magazine, very appropriate, cover the Everglades Wonder Garden. So maybe we could reach out to them and see if there's anything they'd be interested in covering there if they come down and do that here. So target market and trends we're seeing, everybody is doing social media. I think everybody's pretty much on target for following that and working that. And lastly, we talked and discussed being able to up your game with Facebook. So in other words, you have an event, is actually buying the ads, spending a little money on the ads, and trying to just push as much information out as you can within those parameters.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to do 3 more questions. Let's just stay in our groups. We'll take 15 minutes and do them. And then we'll do a prize. The prizes get bigger and better. Okay, so, yeah, come back.
Plays the instrument, and the instrument is like a foot taller than she is. It's way up in the air, and it's really kind of neat. somebody who can play. Well, it's just like big, huge clarinet. Yeah, it goes up and down, and then and she sits on the stool, and it's still a deal. Sort of bump her head. I don't know that. And last year, I picked that, because I'm the announcer, but last year, first of all, it's a brand new instrument that we had in the band. And number two, she has pink hair.
We want to get a beer choir chapter started down here. Beer choir. No, it's just people coming together and having some beer places. Yeah. And there's no chapter in Florida that we have. The national organization is based on this. And the closest one is in Tennessee. Hymnal is download from their website that has like words that are changed around, melodies that everybody knows, and it's like what I used to and so you're doing it's a fun everybody comes and does it. It's not a anyway, we got one city brewing interested. What? Oh, I made it happen once. But what we want to do now is do the chapter and have a chapter.
I'm gonna get over to Jackie, who's going to a beer conference.
Yeah, we're gonna figure this out.
project.
Oh, like the library down here. So I guess this might not be as relevant for you guys, but how do you handle like influence on journalism press? I know for
How do you get them?
This might be more relevant for people that how they get emails all the time, but it's like, how do I come down and say, you know? And we obviously know, so when we get all of the journalist requests, a lot of times it's vice versa, like we're reaching out to them to try to have
So the Holiday Inn that I'm
Yeah.
which is very unique. It's like pod. So all the pods are built in a factory. All the furniture, it's all wrapped up.
Stacking up so people can stay. Put them together with some screws,
right?
But there's pods on top.
Yes, and all the two levels of podium, which is the salt room, the lobby, the pool, the meeting rooms, and on top, it's the pods.
That's been a lot of fun.
There's a lot of conditions, good and bad.
What would be the bad? Oh, I didn't even
Did you say what your newsworthy thing was?
They weren't built, they were just all ready to put together. And they offered them to Naples and I launched their spa, my I sold just off the street. I opened Chamberlain to play the thing on writing video for a while. So I was wondering, and now I'm down I'm launching events there and price
Okay, everybody, 2-minute warning, and we're going to pull for a prize. I think that... Darn. Oh, but it has candy on it. Oh, they all have candy. I would say the towel. Okay, 2-minute warning, and then you can draw. You can draw. So what do you think? You do? I was doing my press. Am I on? Okay, everybody, we're gonna do another drawing. Are you ready? You're going to win a Beaches of Fort Myers towel with some chocolates. A lush green towel. Annie will close her eyes and she will draw from, and the winner is Jerry Miller. Jerry! Jerry is with Gardner's Park Development. There you go, Jerry. We have a minute. Okay, so let's have our leaders. Let's do this again. Let's shake it up. Ray, you want to go first?
I totally want to go first. That's the last time, I promise. This is actually, the neat thing about this is real. So these are actual projects and actual events. We aren't operating in the realm of theory, so it's really exciting to talk about it, maybe have an opportunity to work on it. Lakes Park just got delivery of musical instruments for kids to be able to play out at the park.
What?
So it's really cool, and I'm having trouble describing the specifics of the instruments, but let's just say kids will be able to bang on things and make noise in the not too distant future. So that's never happened before. But having said that, the neat thing about it is they have spent the money. They got a special dispensation from someone and purchased the musical instruments. The county is actually installing them. So the exciting thing is that they have them now. The unexciting thing is they got to pay for them. So what we're facing is how to, one, make sure that everything we do, National Lakes Park is a county facility, a public facility, so they've got to be ADA accessible, everything's got to be done right, safety, liability, those type of things. So changes to the aspects of the park where they're going to install these things are major parts. One of the suggestions, those factors, paying for it is probably the single biggest one, but those were the factors that came into the discussion of what challenges we were facing. Journalist influencer requests, we feel that for this particular project, this is going to be an outreach, go get the journalists. Less likely journalists are going to, just stumble on it, but the hope is we can tell them about this great thing. And lastly, the strategy or philosophy of it is, because it's a little bit different, normally you get the money and then buy it and then install it. It's a little bit opposite approach to this, but is to be able to get the public involved and let them know that Lakes Park's decision to do this was because we're entering high season. It's a great opportunity. Why wait? The resources were available to make the initial purchase, so now, even though there's another tag on this with having to install them, the hope is that we can get journalists out there, get the message out to the public. This is a value, and we want to have everyone have the opportunity to touch this stuff, use this stuff, and be part of this experience at Lake Park now rather than later.
Awesome. What about some of the other groups? Do they talk about their challenges, or like community house, or anybody?
No, Lakes Park pretty much took it over. She just railroaded all of us. There was no getting past. We decided in this case to do time constraints track.
Do one and then, okay. Okay, but I would want to know that. Like, maybe you guys can let us know, because it helps us to know what everybody's facing. Okay, cool. Shayna, thank you, Ray.
Okay, for what's newsworthy, our group thought that the free events that they have is pretty newsworthy just because everything always comes at no cost. The opening of the rooftop at Sydney and Burns, which is really interesting, and when that happens, I think it's going to be really exciting. And also that they always host a lot of world-renowned musicians, which a lot of people don't know, so
Yeah.
getting that word out. And for how they handle influencer journalist requests, not too many within this group get them, but when they do, they like to share up-to-date information, images, event info, and things like that. And Peach Shell has, for influencer requests, Erica handles all that, and she has her own method of going through and checking them and everything. And then Meredith gets a lot of requests from the VCB, which of course are all thoroughly vetted before we ever send them to you guys, so you don't have to worry about anything there. And for some upcoming initiatives they'd like to be involved in, quite a few people here I think would be great for the Florida Luminaries Culture Press Trip. And they also mentioned that the film festival is happening during then, so that would be really exciting.
Yeah, awesome. All right, who's Lauren?
I think yours is off.
So, we're talking about what's newsworthy, and Fishtail actually has artificial reefs that they sunk under their dock, which is pretty cool. So they have they're already a green marina, but they're getting a little bit more attention for that, or it's something that we should tout, which then ties into our upcoming initiatives that we have our conservation press trip coming up.
Yeah.
So to go to an eco-friendly restaurant would be a really cool tie-in there. Isabella was talking about that there's Mohawk Reef, which was the Mohawk ship, was sunk as an artificial reef off the coast, which was news to me because it was done before I started working with Lee County. But just another way of potentially looking at environmental, getting out on the water and things that are being done here locally with the wildlife that surrounds there. And we were also talking about newsworthy from the parks, is the beaches. The water quality story is always something that's top of mind and keeps coming up. We're also coming into manatee season. And interestingly, there's a trend, I would say, is kayak fishing, which is something else. It's another sport that we might be able to incorporate into some of our trips coming up this year. And there's a TV show coming out about that. So I know that team works with Nancy McPhee a lot on getting the writers and the needs incorporated. But I love the story angles, and we're all working towards one goal here. So it was
awesome. Cool. Thank you. Miriam? Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I think this is cutting in and out. All right, so some newsworthy events. Cooper Hotels has had full renovations on 4 properties, which is a big deal, including the Crown Plaza and some other really great hotels. So something like that would be certainly newsworthy. Also, Offshore Sailing has a tweens and teens lesson that they can get free with resort accommodations, things like that, where they could spend more time having this amazing experience rather than maybe going to the theme parks, even at a cheaper rate. So again, kind of getting people to think outside the box with their travel experience and family travel. Pure Florida is also working with the IMAG and Edison and Ford Estates to work on getting deals and tickets to partner together to tell the story, that they go deep into the river story from the Calusa Indians to today, so a great historic way to get out on the water. Just some tidbits that we were talking about with the Promenade with Mary about, they have 7 days a week of entertainment. They've had some facelifts there as well at Roy's, the restaurant, and they're doing a monthly sip and stroll. So some local things too for people to just be aware of events. Cape Coral on December 2nd, council approved plans for the 7 parks to, long story short, down the road be ready in 2021, which is a huge deal for Cape Coral. So that's a huge thing. So even just skipping ahead, talking about initiatives with conservation and things like that, going green, sustainability, the parks certainly have a story to tell there. With handling the journalist and influencer requests, I'll just kind of go down the list. We serve a purpose. They vetted through the VCB. So thank you, Mary. Yes, we keep ourselves very busy. That is how some of them do that. Also, Cooper Hotels has one person designated to take the time to really vet the journalist. Also, the parks goes through other departments like EDO, asking for contracts of even photographers or videographers. Oh wait, I mixed this in there, but the parks are doing a Brews on the River event. That was also a newsworthy event. Sorry. And that, so that could also be another way to partner with initiatives. This is cutting in and out. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Is that okay? All right. So just following up on more initiatives, we can work with them on Travel Rally, or at least letting them be aware if some are not involved as much as they want to be. Island Hopper, doing more press trips, like we said, on the conservation stuff with the parks, and then, of course, getting out on the water. And then the Brews on the River event that the parks was talking about, that's kind of a new thing that would hopefully expand into a weekend gig. So that could definitely be something that we can work together on initiatives. But we also thought we would just be able to share it and share all the list of information so that they're aware of what events we have going on that we can all work together.
Okay. And last but not least.
All right. So I think for this group, the journalist and influencer request wasn't as big of an area, although Miriam brought up an interesting point with the videographer and photo request. So that's something that we'll all be talking about afterwards. I think for newsworthy items, just running through my notes here, the new atriums at Wonder Gardens really caught my attention. So I'm coming for you guys afterwards because I'd love to hear more about that. Also, the beer choir, something that I was not aware of, but actually actually just started, but actually having a choir in breweries, I got this sense that everyone was drinking, and they were also singing songs where they changed out some of the words so that it was, to incorporate like beer phrases. I think that's super funny, but on a more real level, I also think that's a really interesting story on a more serious level. And something that was mentioned with that is that there's the next closest chapter is in Tennessee. Yeah, so really unique to not just this area, but the state of Florida in general. Also, there's a new contra-based clarinet, if I'm saying that correctly, which I've gathered is just a massive clarinet that's too big currently for the woman who knows how to play it. So that's kind of funny and an interesting image, if you can picture it. So we didn't really get to the how to get involved in upcoming initiatives, but just from the organizations that we have here, I think that the culture trip and the culture aspect is something that really touches a lot of these businesses. So I'd love to get you guys involved in that trip that's coming up. And I will hand it back to Francesca.
Okay, we have 3 more questions and then we're done. And then we'll have one more prize. So the next questions are we done? That was it? Surprise! Okay. So let me give you, let's draw for one more time. Wow, isn't it nice when you think you're going one way and then you go the other? And the winner is Susan Cristiano with Angle Volkers. Come on, you get this beautiful bag. It's a cooler bag, so you can take it to the beach. Oh, and also this is very important. If you parked in the parking lot and you have a ticket, we'll validate your ticket. And we are going to follow up with an email to give you all the links and our contacts. And you want the slideshow? Sure. Okay. And if you have any questions, we'll hang out. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming. Nice. Better turn this off. Well, that's fun. We are coming to the Wonder Gardens, I'll tell you that. Because I know that it's constantly evolving. Like, I think maybe I was there, like, right when he got it again. Like, so would that have been, like, yeah, was that, like, 3 or 4 or 5? Like, when was that? Yeah. Yeah, that's when I've been there. like, I have to use the bathroom. Okay. Yeah. That was so funny. I'm like, okay, no, it's over.
Yeah, it's over.
I used to live in New York.
Oh, you did? Where? Oh, my goodness. Before, you lived there before, before it was cool, but probably when it was
When we were the first to like convert the loft right on 70 Commercial, and at that point, before all the
my God.
development, you could see the street.
would be worth millions at this point.
Oh.
That's too funny. Well, I would be in touch. I'd love to hear more about what you guys are doing on it.
Getting dressed in front of. Okay, that was good.
That was great. Great. So, yeah. I think there's a lot of Hey, Shayna. Hi, Shayna. Because I smell awful, so I don't think I can type of shade or hands it up to Amazon. Shayna, we're trying to get good shows. So I was asking our contribution. Yeah, because I was asking. Here, that's only an hour. I know. Is this per person or per We go way
Some of this, like,